Though I don't think anyone wants to have a job as a modern kind of computer. Imagine just being a computer for a living and all the awful things people would do and search on you. Ugh, don't like the idea of that. We tend to think of computers as fairly modern things, a vital piece of technology that powers so much of our modern world. And while our modern concept of a computer only really came into being in the middle of the 20th century, the word of computer itself is far, far older. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the earliest example we have of the word computer used in English comes from 1613. The word was used in the context of "I have read the truest computer of times, and the best arithmetician that ever breathed, and he reduced thy days into a short number." And suffice to say, it's really odd to hear the word computer used in a sentence like this. Of course, the speaker here wasn't referring to a computer as we know them today. Before being applied to big beige boxes and then smaller, thinner, less beige boxes, the word computer was applied to someone who made calculations for a living. I guess now we'd more likely call these people mathematicians or something. But yes, in the 17th century, your job really could have just been computer. Though I don't think anyone wants to have a job as a modern kind of computer. Imagine just being a computer for a living and all the awful things people would do and search on you. Ugh. Don't like the idea of that. While this shows us that the word computer is pretty darn old, its origins and etymology date back even further. Computer is simply the noun form of the verb compute, which means to do some kind of equation of mathematical task. In English, compute dates back even further than computers, first being found in 1483. Shockingly, the word goes back even further. That English word of compute ultimately derives from the Latin term of computere. The Latin word is made up of the elements of com, meaning together, and putere, meaning to reckon, so the word ultimately means to reckon together. This makes a tad more sense when you realise that reckon also means to figure out a calculation. It doesn't just mean to consider something like how we use it most of the time these days. Well, I reckon so anyway. What this all means is that the word that computer derives from, compute, was being used in some way, shape or form all the way back in ancient Rome. Of course, the Romans didn't have our kind of computers either. Gosh, imagine if they did. What kind of crazy stuff would a Roman Google? Gosh, doesn't also go thinking about. They too would have used the word in relation to calculating large numbers and whatnot. From this perspective, the word computer does actually make a lot more sense. Despite the fact that we now use the word computer today for things that do way more than just huge calculations. In the past, these machines didn't exist, but people still had to do large equations. This meant that language revolving around calculations came into being, which gave us this word of computer. Though what's equally confusing is how did this word of computer, which dates back to the 17th century, end up being used for devices we can now play games on, work on and look at memes on? Though before we look into that, I want to say a huge thanks to my most recent patrons. So a huge thanks to new patron Marsyas. Patreon is the best way to financially support Name Explain, and donating just $1 a month gets you ad-free videos, a chance to say what names are explained, an exclusive monthly newsletter, and your name at the end of these videos. All of that can be found at patreon.com/nameexplain, linked down below. Conversely, if you want to just make a one-time donation, you can leave a super thanks directly in the comments section of any of my videos here on YouTube. They help out tremendously too. Thank you. Anyway, this is all because when computers as we know them first came onto the scene, all they really did was equations. No memes, no flash games, no 7-hour-long video essays on incredibly niche subjects, just numbers. Sounds boring, I know, but we had to start somewhere, right? The title of the first computer is somewhat debated. There's the Antikythera mechanism, and apologies about pronunciation there, which dates back to around the 2nd century BC from ancient Greece. And while it was a computer of sorts, being used to predict eclipses and other things, it's far removed from our understanding of computers. Like it was electro-powered and it couldn't even play Snake. How boring. We get closer to a modern computer in the 19th century with Charles Babbage and his difference engine. This was a huge contraption that could hypothetically do sums and, well, compute. The only issue with it, however, is the fact that while Babbage designed it, it was never actually built in his lifetime. After him, however, people got to work on building other machines that could compute large sums. Really noticeable ones were the ones of course used by Alan Turing, like the Colossus and the Bomb. Turing played a huge role in the development of modern computers, and is even seen as the father of modern computing. And of course, all these machines were dubbed computers because that's what they did. They computed. Though things really expanded with the creation of the ENIAC, or the ENIAC, in 1945. This stands for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. It was the first electronic, programmable, general-purpose computer and set the foundations of our modern computers. This one even has computer as part of its own acronym's name, and from here the word became even more cemented with these machines, even as they evolved to do more than just crunch numbers. I genuinely find it so cool that something that is so relatively modern in its concept like a computer has a name that really can be traced back all the way to ancient times. But this is actually somewhat common with technology. Tech often gets older words applied to them and brings those words into the modern age. I really love the example of video. Videos are also a relatively new thing, but the word is simply Latin for the term I see. As you know, you see videos, you have to look at them. You see the videos, you can see the actual cassette, you can see the actual video like the one you're watching right now, because you see them, you video. Video, yeah, cool. If you know any other words that seem fairly modern but actually have older roots, then let me know about them down in the comments. Also, please suggest a topic that we could cover in next Monday's Name Explain video. It could be about literally anything, and the topic can be as niche or broad as you like. I will then choose 3 of those topics and place them in a poll for my patrons to vote on. Then the winner from the poll will be the topic covered in next Monday's Name Explain video. You can vote in that poll, as well as enjoy many other great benefits by visiting patreon.com/nameexplain, which will be linked down below, and by donating just $1 a month. Thank you. But anyway, that's more than enough for myself. But don't forget to go follow me on Instagram, where I'm NameExplainYT, and don't forget to join the Facebook page, Friends of Name Explain, where you can chat with myself and many other name nerds. Okay all, take care. Used in English comes from 1613. So there's a door slam just then, I'm going to start that again. Some kind of equation of mathematical? Despite the fact we now link these words with all... What have I said there? Despite the fact we now link these kinds of huge calculations with... What am I trying to say there? Brr. No 7-hour-long video essays on in the development of modern computers. And my voice just isn't working today. I was really bumbling through that one. Blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? Gosh, I don't know. What do I write, Amber?